Hello and welcome my friends to Fruit of the Wheel. I'm Radhika, and in this video I'll be talking about Mercury's retrograde in Virgo, which lasts from the 23rd of August until the 15th of September 2023. We entered shadow on the 3rd of August and will leave shadow on the 30th of September. The degrees of Virgo that Mercury is moving forwards, backwards, and then forwards again through are from 8 degrees 0 minutes to 21 degrees 51 minutes. Those of us who have personal planets and placements at those degree points or in the other mutable signs, Gemini, Sagittarius, and Pisces at those degree points, or those who have Mercury as their chart ruler, or those whose Mercury is otherwise prominent in the chart, will have a more emphasized retrograde experience. People born during Mercury retrograde, however, tend to experience this time with more clarity and ease, as it is familiar in the natal chart. Every time Mercury goes retrograde, which is 3 or 4 times a year, the entire journey takes almost 2 months, which means around half the year is spent in Mercury's retrograding events. Whilst there's no need for an alarmist approach to these retrogrades, ringing bells and sirens about all the mishaps that Mercury can cause during this time, neither is it insignificant just because the retrogrades are common. Everything that occurs has a specific purpose, and does so at the correctly appointed hour, and is so precisely calculated by a far more complex universal mind than what we can comprehend from our limited perspective of reality. And Mercury is this. It is how we make sense of reality through our perceptions and thoughts. Our perceptions become our projections, and our projections become our lived experiences. Therefore, it makes absolute sense that it is this planet that goes retrograde so often. Caution when it comes to the house that Mercury is transiting in our chart is never harmful. We can make efforts to double check on whatever work, practices, and communication may be involved. But if something does happen, it is meant to, no matter how careful we are. What's important then is to reap the benefits of the occurrence by understanding what energies caused it and realigning oneself accordingly. Every experience is a creation of our mind, consciously or subconsciously. Whenever a planet goes retrograde, its energies, which otherwise are more obviously directed towards certain purposes and areas of life, now turn inward, are more subtle, and are being processed in particular ways for particular reasons, according to the planetary aspects that are being made. For each of us, this will be expressed in the house that Mercury is transiting, and where the planets, both in the natal and transit chart, it makes aspect to are. During retrograde, there is an opportunity for deeper learning, upgrading, rebooting, transforming, so that once the planet goes direct, we are now operating more efficiently and more soulfully in regard to the energies of the respective planet, the sign it is transiting, and the house it is transiting. We receive new insight and wisdom that is essential for whatever purposes have already been forming, as well as those that lie ahead. Mercury rules the left brain, deductive thinking, the ordering of the universe, and establishes ways to communicate the thoughts and ideas that are stimulated by the reality we observe and sense. It rules both Gemini and Virgo, which are mutable signs, signs of adaptability and natural change. Given Mercury's speedy and regular retrogrades, there is emphasis on the importance of maintaining a fluidity of the mind. We must regularly revisit our mental processes and reevaluate our perceptive tendencies. Since we manifest according to the quality and frequency of our thoughts, we need to ensure that we're operating and manifesting from healthy and harmonious mental energies. Mercury's frequent retrogrades are therefore incredibly necessary and beneficial if given conscious attention and harnessed. So now we're retrograding in one of the signs he rules, Virgo. Whilst Gemini is a mental awareness that is curious, speedy, and playful, gathering diverse data for its own stimulus. Virgo is discerning, efficient, and sober, processing and arranging the observable and gathered data into a structured order that has purpose beyond its own sensory or intellectual experience. Its opposing sign is Pisces, the sign of universal undivided consciousness, whose traditional ruler is Jupiter and modern ruler Neptune. Both planets operate through the right brain, which embodies intuitive knowing, higher and broader perspectives of reality, which give birth to faith, belief, higher forms of inspiration, creativity, love, and purpose. When a left brain sign is retrograding, its power is dulled enough to allow right brain wisdom to flow in more strongly. And this is wonderful because most of us are constantly operating with our conscious, logical, rational minds. And this form of thinking and living is highly unbalanced and exhausting without the gentle power of the unconscious mind, which connects with the universal mind. There is opportunity to be informed and educated by feeling instead of just data-based thinking. As I very often mention, no sign exists on its own. It functions together with its opposing sign, either consciously or subconsciously. So whether the Virgo side of ourselves acknowledges Pisces or not, Pisces is active and informing Virgo at all times. If you'd like to know more about how Saturn, now in Pisces, affects the Virgo part of our charts and psyches, the link to a blog I wrote on this is in the description below. Pisces is this ethereal, unconditional space which dissolves the concept of an individual self, that inspires Virgo to operate from an intention that is beyond self-satisfaction. When this axis is in harmony, Pisces is like the magic, and Virgo the repeated practice of magic. The sublime Piscean creation and vision that is beheld is only made possible because of Virgo's honing of the skill required for that creation. Virgo takes those luminous waters of Pisces and gives them something tangible to manifest themselves through, its earth, for the benefit of whomsoever would be the recipient of this work, this effort. Virgo is a sign that corresponds with Vesta, the Roman goddess of the hearth, the eternal flame. Her temple priestesses were the Vestal virgins, dedicated to the rituals of her temple, ensuring the sacred flame lit inside would never die. This flame is symbolic of the eternal flame within each of us, our purity in spirit, which must be carefully, diligently, and responsibly tended to. Priests and priestesses of temples and rituals are quietly focused on their tasks, perform activities at the correct time, keep the premises and artifacts of the temple clean and orderly, and are ready and willing to serve, heal, and offer to those who would need their skills. This is Virgo energy. A temple itself is designed and built with mathematical and geometric precision as a giant energetic grid able to receive and release energies that are in their highest, most sacred forms. Chants and mantras uttered for ritual, prayer, and meditation are sounds that are enunciated with focused precision, shifting the energetic patterns within the fabric of consciousness, which ultimately have the power to shift reality. This is also Virgo energy. But all this takes a devotional practice, a humble approach to learning and mastery. And it isn't for the sake of a glorified ego. It isn't for a dramatic expression of the self. It is simply for the act itself. There is a perfection in performance that is aspired to, but not for the sake of perfection or for the sake of performance. It's for the task undertaken. The task undertaken has value. Its energetic quality is what has value. The complete offering of one's efforts to the craft is what is sacred. Joy and contentment are found in the repetition and practice of activities that are seemingly mundane, but are always connected to source power. Sadly, this is not how Virgo is most often recognized or expressed. Because when you remove or suppress the unconditional love, the openness, the magical inspiration of Pisces from the equation, you're left only with a thinker and doer who identifies with the completion and perfection of tasks, instead of one who is engaging in sacred work and delighting in it. Now Virgo becomes critical, judgmental, and dissatisfied with outcomes, results, or conditions that do not adhere to a mental conception of what is correct. The discerning mind, which could be used lovingly to ensure the beauty and sanctity of whatever is being created, crafted, arranged, or managed, becomes harsh and embodies guilt or shame, two states that are very familiar to this axis when the energies are distorted. The concept of virginity for the Vestal virgins originally had nothing to do with celibacy, from refraining from sexual activity. In fact, before the tyranny of patriarchy took over their sacred function, they engaged freely in sexual and intimate relationships of their own choosing, whilst remaining independent, untethered to any marital bond. They performed sexual healing, sexual teaching, and sexual rituals within the temple, and their virginity was a reference to the everlasting and untainted purity of the soul and spirit. In a society that has supported false notions of perfectionism and purity, and conditioned us to achieve rather than to create and offer, the sacred beauty of Virgo energy has been painfully corrupted. But as more and more of us awaken to more ancient truths, set our intentions to more balanced living, allow more loving and freeing energies to pervade our beings, as a collective we begin to invite this divine feminine archetype to reclaim its true nature and power. Mercury retrograding through this sign gives us the opportunity to recalibrate the parts of us that perhaps have been struggling with notions of perfection, our critical tendencies towards self and others, our stresses and anxieties regarding what we consider our craft, our ability to work, the services we provide, and our physical health. As a sign that is concerned with correction of energies, the body and its condition come significantly into play. Virgo rules parts of our digestive system that play a vital role in the breaking down and assimilation of nutrients before moving on to the stage of elimination, which corresponds with what it does with information. What is consumed is discerned and assessed. What is useful goes on to becoming integrated into the system. What isn't is discarded. Therefore, choosing the right nourishment for mind and body is Virgo's domain. And since what happens through digestion is central to maintaining the health of the entire body, if there are physical symptoms pertaining to digestion, there are most likely other symptoms as a consequence. Since the mind and body are inseparable, becoming aware of our mental state at this time is the best way to regain balance of the body, actively engaging in habits and lifestyle practices that bring peace, are truly energetically nutritious, and feel easeful. If anyone watching might be interested, one of the astrological readings I do are for healing IBS, or irritable bowel syndrome. The link is in the description below. For those of you who may not be aware, I was trained as a medical doctor in Western medicine. Mercury in Virgo is the mind of craftsmanship. What we're working on or through matters. We apply skill to it, and we're willing to learn how to improve those skills. There is a dedication to refinement here, an intelligence that is applied carefully in order to make adjustments masterfully. Virgo arrives after the pomp and splendor of Leo, who isn't concerned with how correctly or appropriately something has been done, or something has been expressed. Quality check isn't his prerogative. Leo explodes on the scene because it feels entitled to, and is compelled to express itself, rather innocently, even if pridefully. Virgo takes Leo's creative, unlimited energy and molds it into something of particular design with particular intent. And that is when our creative forces become more than just for ourselves, and we are readying ourselves to offer what we are and what we have to others. This is a quiet and humble way of loving, but it is necessary for the flame not to die out. It lives through the work of Virgo. So what is it that matters to us right now? Where did our instincts, inspirations, ideas, desires, needs, and creative confidence lead us? What needs to be done at this point that we've arrived at? What needs more honing, more refinement, more practice, more adjustment? What is bringing forth our devotion to mastery? Whatever this might be, can we do this without judging ourselves and others as imperfect or subpar? Can we do this work, improve our skills with kind, compassionate encouragement instead of criticizing and shaming? What are we ready to recognize means more than nurturing our egos and sense of self? What would we truly like to offer? We do not discard the lessons of Leo here. The unique talents, gifts, and creativity that each one of us have are what are being asked for. It is through those gifts that the work of Virgo becomes enjoyable, instead of obligated duty or painstaking activity born from a compulsion to do things right. Virgo can be moralistic and concerned with concepts of right and wrong, placing itself above or others below according to such beliefs, which can ultimately be tiring for the self and others. During this retrograde, are there beliefs that might need some refreshing or downright discarding because they are in fact not nutritious and supportive of the highest good of all? There is great clarity in thought, intention, and activity that this retrograding Mercury in Virgo has to offer us. On the day Mercury stations retrograde, the Sun enters Virgo and opposes Saturn in Pisces. This implies that whatever we're inclined to apply our minds to, whatever we're working on, whatever we tend to focus on the details of, is given pause. The energy of the Sun is not meant to have its clear and purposeful power immediately. Both retrograding Mercury and Saturn in opposition are guiding us to recognize what needs restructuring, reordering first. Mercury opposed Saturn the day before we entered shadow, so there is a theme of practical reality being faced here. Saturn knows what is necessary for lasting results, how to commit to something and complete the task, so naturally he relates to the energy of Virgo. In Pisces, he holds a different energy from the taskmaster, but he is always teaching. And here, vision, faith, fluid inspiration, and principles of universal consciousness are given shape by Saturn, are being brought down from the ethers into tangible reality. Our creations and manifestations are being supported and facilitated. At this time, however, it's clear that reevaluation is necessary. Something can be felt as frustrating, thwarting, or confusing. Something needs to be reworked. Our visions and imaginations themselves may need reorientation. It's always healthy to check in and make sure that we're aligning ourselves with inspiration and plans that truly do serve ourselves and others. There may be feelings of disappointment, tendencies to be critical of self or others, or to be the recipient of such behavior from others. There may be anxiety or guilt around certain situations. If so, we should use this to gain a deeper understanding of our circumstances, our thoughts and beliefs that now need to be shifted, instead of perceiving things as against us. During retrograde season, Mercury also trines Jupiter in Taurus twice and trines Uranus in Taurus on the last day of shadow. This is an earth trine, so this supports something in our sensed and tangible reality. Taurus is our resources, what we're building, our abundance, our security, and our peaceful pleasure. Trines are not just automatically supportive and auspicious, they often go one of two ways, of either being overwhelming or being unnoticed. The energy of the trine must also be brought into awareness, and then it absolutely has benefits to be reaped. Retrograde Mercury trining Jupiter is encouraging a reevaluation of our belief system around our abundance, our finances, our security, and how we manage all of this. Jupiter is definitely supporting and blessing the work we put in, how we apply ourselves to building and sustaining a life that is healthy, and will expand the efficiency and quality of our efforts. Again, our perceptions determine our manifested reality, so whatever adjustments need to be made in the mind in order to receive what Jupiter and Taurus has to offer, let them be done. Both Jupiter and Uranus are planets of higher perspective, and these aspecting Mercury in Virgo are clearly inviting us to see beyond our personal abilities, duties, and perfection. Whatever we've been practicing, learning, healing, and wanting to improve is all the more beneficial once it becomes integrated into societal and collective structures and needs. How can what we have to offer be a part of the progress that is called for right now and moving forward? How can we work towards creating greater pleasure and security collectively? What can we simplify for the purpose of peaceful coexistence? And what needs innovation for the same? Uranus, with his alternative, sudden, cosmic strike of insight and the opportunity of rapid transformation he provides, can be very welcome for any habits that need changing or to inspire newfound creativity in our daily endeavors. Especially since the trine with Uranus is on the final day of Mercury's shadow period, there's definitely the possibility of interesting, pleasant, and sudden surprises that take our unfolding to the next level. With that, let us welcome the fruits of this Mercury retrograde into our lives and enjoy a truly pure, healthier, more peaceful, as well as more masterful state of being by the end of it. Thank you so much for watching. Much love, always.